What's up, y'all?
What's going on?
What's up, good people? How are you guys doing today?
Welcome to another episode.
Right. We want to welcome everybody that's listening to another episode of As Told by Millennials. Thank you guys for joining us. Wherever you're listening to, please be sure to subscribe. We would really appreciate it. So, what's new, good people? David, what's going on with you?
Not a whole lot. I think I'm doing pretty good. I've spent the weekend cleaning up, organizing.
So, Denzel, what's new and what's going on with you?
Nothing much. So just the regular, Well, I don't have a 9 to 5, but I have like 11 to 7. But just doing that throughout the day, and looking for the next opportunity.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. There's nothing new going on with me, just a typical work week. My work week is usually a lot shorter than most people, so I'm appreciative of that. But I've just been relaxing and regrouping, getting myself together for the next week and, taking it one day at a time. Speaking of, we know, the listeners don't know, that we record on Saturday, so we're usually at the end of our week when we record. So, thinking of the previous week, what did you guys do? Like, how did you guys find relaxation and peace through your work week with whatever stressors and trials that you had to deal with? What do you do to escape? What did you do this week that brought you joy and peace? What did you listen to? What did you read?
I stayed in the bed the entire time. That brought me so much joy and peace.
Understandable, relatable.
Once you get up out that bed, problems start swinging at you left and right.
Absolutely.
I know that's
I
right.
would say I found a lot of joy and peace in worship music this week. It's been a really long week, returning back to work from spring break. It's been very tiresome. And I kind of feel like I was on one level and everybody else is on another. And so, in order to bring my attitude back, I spent a lot of time listening to worship music and just kind of, enjoying me.
Yeah, I also went to this nature park in Plano, and I go out there and do about like 5 miles. I walk some, I run a little bit, very little. But just being out in nature, that brings me a little joy. Just calms me. It reminds me so much of back home, like country. Dallas is such a big city. You don't really get no
hmm
areas where it's just like a lot of trees and just like nature. So that's my little healing place, I guess.
I relate to that. I love being outside. I love being in nature. One of my favorite things in the world to do is to stand like next to like a really large body of water, like the ocean or something like that. I love doing that. It brings me so much joy. For me this week, I found a lot of relaxation and peace just spending time with my dog, which I love. I love my Bo.
My nephew.
And I have been reading for like the third or fourth time the autobiography of Malcolm X. And it is always, books are always an escape for me. I always reading a book when I need to escape, when I'm stressed out about something or something, because they offer an escape. So that's what I've been doing. And yeah, it helped me get through the week. I may not be able to read, but maybe 2 pages, depending on whether I'm at work or, whatever. But it does help me get through the week. So that's good. I'm glad you all made it through another week successfully.
I'm getting ready for another one.
What up, y'all? It's D Rocka. Definitely wanted to get on here and give you guys a shout out for listening. Thank you. We appreciate you guys for giving us the chance. We want to shout out to the home team and all the areas surrounding Jackson and Jackson, Mississippi. Shout out to the home team for giving us your listens. We see y'all's numbers and we appreciate it.
I'm going to start off by talking about a couple of things that are going off in social media. um, with black people. So I know this one might be a little. This actually just happened a couple of hours ago. Our new hometown hero, Jonathan Majors,
I don't want to talk about this.
has been arrested allegedly for assaulting his girlfriend in a cab. It's kind of crazy when you get to the peak of your career and stuff like that, and something like this happens. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know at this point. I don't really know what to think because it's so fresh and new, and we have very limited information about the situation. We just have that this young lady claims that she was assaulted by Jonathan Majors. He denies it. So, it's still very new. As far as I know, there haven't been any witnesses or any footage or anybody else to corroborate her side of the story. So I don't really know what to think. I would love to think that it's not true, but I think we've all been alive long enough to see people we revere and respect kind of fuck up here and there. So I don't really know what to think at this point. I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true for both of them.
Yeah, well, he was arrested though. So, I mean,
My biggest thing is I hate that it has happened at a time where his career is really taken off. He's in a mode of promoting a lot of projects that he has going on. So I think it's unfortunate that this has come, but I also realize why so many artists and actors and actresses don't date while they're in like a heavy working season, because it just brings about so many different things. And even people finding out that he has a girlfriend now that's gonna hurt, well, not technically, but some people really like him because he's something that they feel like is attainable.
yeah,
So them finding out that he has a girlfriend may kind of hurt that a little bit, his career.
it is kind of crazy, but I just don't, when you really look at it, I kind of see it at two ways. Like as you just previously stated, you're at the peak of your career. So much good is going on, and then for something like this to put a stain on it. And then
Hmm.
I also see it as, some people also forget that actors and actresses are people as well, and people go through shit. And I hope, it isn't true because it's not going to look good for him, assaulting a woman. But all I know is Michael B. Jordan would never be caught doing it.
I also feel, and this is just my hot take on this as far as him being arrested, because there are times when, especially in these individuals who have a lot of celebrity about themselves, there are times when things like this happen and you never hear about them being arrested. Like
Yeah.
it's always framed very differently when it happens to a certain race of people and to a certain type of
Hmm.
person.
And so we're talking about somebody that hasn't done anything in the public eye to screw it up until now. Let's move to someone that has made money off of just screwing up in life, and that is Black China. Her name is Angela now.
Black
Yeah.
China is a millionaire. How has she been screwing up?
Well, that's how she made her money off of just doing crazy stuff. She's going against the
Um,
grain. So, most people look at her as a screw up.
I look at that heifer as smart. That's what I say.
So, I don't know. Recently, she's been having a lot of changes in life for like a way that she's thinking. She recently announced that she was going to get all of her surgeries undone, getting some of the fillers and stuff removed out of her face, and whatever she has in her ass, getting that removed as well. From what I've been seeing, I guess her mind is changing the way she's thinking, and she just wants to live a more peaceful life and stuff like that. So she's been doing a lot of changing, and I feel like a lot of fans are giving her a lot of backlash on it. And I think she just recently got baptized and stuff like that. So how do you feel about people who are trying to change, that they are known for doing, like, going against the grain, being a rebel, and now that they're trying to change and people are giving them backlash on it?
As far as the appearance goes, I've seen photos of her since she's gotten some of the like face fillers and stuff removed, and she looks really good.
Yeah, she was naturally pretty.
Her mom is that Tokyo lady.
Tokyo Tony or whatever her name is.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Okay.
crazy as a motherfucker too. But she was just saying that even though she looks really good now, she's turning to like a lot of like really bad relationships and stuff like that. So I'm interested in just kind of seeing how this plays out for her.
I feel like people are giving I people are giving her a lot of backlash because that's their source of entertainment. Stuff that she does or has been doing in her life. Like, the foolery with Rob Kardashian and all that with the Kardashian clan and stuff like that. They got a they got life off of that. And now that she's, I guess, whether we think it is or not, she's choosing something that she wants to do and, in a peaceful way. That's something that she's not known for. And people are giving her a lot of backlash. I feel like they do black women get a lot of bad publicity off of that because most black people are known for doing rebel stuff. And when it comes to a white woman, like Kim Kardashian, she'd had a whole sex tape. She can redeem herself. She can come back as, saved and talk to Jesus himself. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, she's saved. But when a woman like, Black China does it, it's a problem.
I feel like anytime anybody is changing, especially for the better, and they meet some sort of resistance, the problem is not with them. The problem is with the people who are resisting the change. They're the ones with the
Yeah.
problem. If I'm changing for the better and you have a problem with that, then I'm not the problem. You have the problem somewhere in your mind. You know, because if I'm doing these things to get better or to grow and to progress in a way, then you should be happy for me. You should want to see those things happen in my life. But because you've gotten used to me being this certain type of way, or like you said, getting some sort of entertainment value from it, or, whatever from it, then that's when the problem comes. I think people have a problem with her changing because it's not what they're used to. And they want to see,
Yeah.
that entertainment and that shock value that she has offered. But, I'm all for people. I'm all for growth. I'm all for people trying to do better you know, whether I agree with it or
Yeah.
not, if it's the right thing for you to do for your life and for, in her case, her children in their future or whatever, I'm all for it. Do what you got to do, baby girl.
Oh, so what did y'all? So did you all take a look at the movie that Chloe Bailey was in called Swarm?
I have not looked at it yet. I probably will at some point.
Did you see the scene that everybody's talking about?
I saw the scene everybody was talking about.
Damson Idris was clapping cheeks.
Mm-hmm. Clapping cheek. They was just really just like, oh my God, it's too new in her career for this and this and that. And I'm like, she not really having sex. It's like he's literally clapping her cheek.
She even stated that there was like I guess a bouncing ball, like a air, some type of ball between them. Like they were naked, but
Yeah, she was talking about how professional he was, that
yeah,
he made her feel really comfortable with doing the scene by not having to feel him like bouncing up against her or anything like that. Like she was saying that he did a very professional job at doing it, so she felt comfortable doing so. But I think that people, I get annoyed when I get on social media and I see 50,000
Oh, me
people with the same
too.
comment and just saying nothing and just saying the most absolutely negative thing that can come out of their mouth. And I'm just like, y'all are annoying.
I didn't see the problem. I don't. She's a musician, but she's also an actress. Like she was in
yeah.
Grownish. She was in Fighting Temptation. Like she's. It's not like she's new to this whole acting thing. She is an actor, just like she's a musician. So I don't. But if you recall, there was a big hoopla when they started cursing in their music. And I
Yeah.
feel like
Hmm.
society very rarely, especially with black women, they very rarely are okay with them growing and coming out
Hmm.
of whatever box that society tries to keep them in. They very rarely with black women. Do they give them the grace to just be human?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have an issue with. Well, I don't think it's an issue. I think a lot of people just still see them as those two little girls off of YouTube singing, and like people grow. Like she's not a child anymore.
Well, when you look back historically at young black females in the industry, and they talk about how many issues they had from trying to live a specific certain life for people, so people wouldn't talk about them or complain about them
Yeah,
or say certain things. So many of those people fell to depression and anxiety and bulimia and all those different things to survive that era of their life. Just wanting to be themselves.
So, Denzel, do we have any more topics that you'd like for us to discuss? This was fun.
there's no other topic. I do want to take out a time, like a little portion of the show, to send out our prayers and condolences to our home state of Mississippi.
So, for those of you who don't know, who are unfamiliar, um, there was a tornado that came through a couple of small towns here in Mississippi, and it was pretty bad. Mississippi has always been plagued, especially up toward central Mississippi and the Delta has always been plagued with really bad storms and tornadoes. And today there was one that came through and completely demolished one town and did a lot of damage to the others that it affected. And I think the death toll now is 23, 24, or something like that. So yeah, just send up a prayer for those people who have lost families, who have lost homes, who now have to kind of figure out their life because of this storm, this natural disaster that came through. So keep that in mind. If there are no more topics, then we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with the next part of the show. Someone once told me that grass is much greener. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, I would love to hear about the concerts you guys went to with Jay Howell and K Michelle. From y'all's videos and Snapchats and stuff, it looked like it was a really good time.
Oh, it was. It was a party.
It was a good time
Especially when K Michelle came out. The girls got the twerking and everything else. Oh, you should have seen the security guard looking at us.
in the theater. He was looking like, what the fuck? Like, where am I at?
He just looking like the light bill is due, and I just got to get this. It'll be over before you know it.
Listen, they was acting real niggerish. They was dancing in the hallway of the theater. They was standing on the chairs, and me and Denzel just sitting there holding our chest, like, what's going on? The
Shit.
lady behind us was talking shit. She was like, "Y'all finna see me act a motherfucking fool up in here."
And didn't do nothing.
Didn't do nothing. And me and Denzel was like, "That's it. You better act up. You better show out." She ain't do shit.
Didn't do
Hey
nothing.
Michelle, hey Michelle brought the mic back there. She was quiet as a mouse.
But that one girl that was over there by our area that got the mic, oh, she got the
She was,
singing in
she
that
was singing.
time.
I said, "Is this Kiara Shear?"
Shoot, she took it to church.
She took it to church, baby. She sung.
Man.
What about
I,
did she try some of her country music out on y'all? How was that?
Well, the whole new album, and I'll let Denzel elaborate on this. The whole new album sounds like country music, but it's still K Michelle black music.
yeah.
Like she did a really good job. It's gonna be a good project.
Yeah, but the album that's coming out now, I think it may have like one or two country songs on it, but I think she has
hmm
a whole nother
Hmm.
album dedicated directly to country music that is coming out as well.
She dedicated a song to Betty Wright,
Oh yeah,
and
after
she
the
said
pain.
I
after the
know that
pain,
you know it's
and she
true.
said Betty
After
Wright,
all I've been through, I should be through with love.
yeah. She said Betty Wright talked to her, and she helped her with some writing and stuff. And she was saying
Hmm.
that Dolly Parton wrote a song for the actual country album
Not Dolly
specifically
Parton.
for her. So
She in
she
What
said
is what
Nashville.
Nashville,
is
yeah.
what is it? What does the song put you in mind of? Because you said it's kind of country, but it's still like K Michelle music. So is it kind of in the lane of Daddy Lessons by Beyonce? Like how that's country, but it's still
It's not that
like
country.
Yeah, it's not that country. It's
Okay.
kind of like country trailer park trash,
Yeah,
like ish,
yeah.
but it's still fun
But
though.
it's got a nice beat to it.
Yeah.
Very very good
Okay.
song. She played it for me. I was like, oh, all
After the
right.
practice song, kind of sound like a New Orleans bounce mix.
It's like
Mm.
after the pain with New Orleans bounce on top of it.
Yeah,
It was a bop though. It was a bop. And of course,
I
her
can't wait
real
to hear
fans
it.
knew the music. Her
yeah.
real fans was like, "Oh, we already heard this." She was like, "Y'all shouldn't know half of this stuff, but I know how y'all are."
I did
Hmm.
like how like she was connected to the fans. Like it wasn't just she just got up there, don't say nothing to me, and let me sing, and even though she did, walked off kind of sudden at the end,
It
like
was
she just
very intimate.
yeah. But it was really cool though, especially for to be my one of my first like major performer concerts.
Yeah, Denzel said this is
Hmm.
one of his first concerts.
Hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
I mean, it was true to concert culture. I give it that. The theater setting, we was like the chairs were very comfortable. We was sitting back like we was finna see like a Broadway show, and then it went straight ghetto. But she did really well. She was not on auto tune. She was singing.
Oh yeah,
She
both
was
of that mic
singing,
was on. No background singers.
and Jay Howell
Mm,
was
mm,
everything. That
mm,
nigga
mm.
sings. He
Yeah,
sings now, and he was hitting them high notes, and the people behind us was like, "Who was he?"
yeah. A
They
lot
was
of
like, "We finna
folks.
look him up. We finna look him up," and I was like, "Oh, he killing it."
Yeah, a lot of folks didn't know about him. I think most came just for K Michelle, but like he made his mark later.
That's
Hmm.
what's up. Shout out to Jay Howell and K Michelle for a good show in Dallas.
Out to
Absolutely.
the tenders as well, because baby, that drink was good and
Oh
And
yeah,
the
high.
the
bartenders,
drink was
yes.
good. It was a good $15, but it was good.
Staying in the lane of concerts, are you guys excited to see Beyonce in September?
Yes.
I am clearly not, um, especially in this lane, I am not God's favorite because I didn't get chosen to get a ticket at all. So I'm
Hmm.
thankful for whatever I got. And this is not my first concert, but this will be my first Beyonce concert. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see what this is going to be like. Like I know she puts on a show, so that's something I can already walk in knowing. But I'm excited to see what the atmosphere is going to be like. What it's going to be like to be around that many, um, diehard Beyonce fans. I'm just excited to see what Dallas is going to be like for that concert.
It's gonna be a good time. Of course, we get to experience it together, so that's more so what I'm looking forward to,
Yeah.
and just kind of being able to say we went, we saw, and this is what she did. So
What other concerts besides Beyonce, if you could go to, what would you? Who would you go? Like your
I'll give you my top three really, really quick. I definitely want to go see Anita Baker since she's claiming that this is once again her last tour. Um, I would love to go see um, Usher in Vegas. And I really want to go to a Tank and the Bangas concert because I really, really like them, and
oh
I haven't
yeah,
seen them. I haven't seen them live. So those are my top three. Those are the three that I would really, really want to see.
mine would be also. I would want to go to a Adele concert. Um, Number two would be Jasmine Sullivan, and three, I don't know who would be three. Probably a Drake concert, but I have to have security if I go to that concert.
yeah, I mean, of course, it's gonna be a blackety black black black. But I agree with Milton. Off the top, Usher and Anita Baker are two concerts that I would love to go and see. I would love to see them in person. Just amazing careers, amazing voices that I know they're not going to be singing on top of a track. Um, and of course, I would always love to go and see Brandy. I've only heard her perform in like a club setting one time when I was in Atlanta. She performed in a club and I saw her. But also, I've seen Janet Jackson, who put on an amazing show.
Oh,
So
instead of
definitely,
seeing SWV and them escapee do they little thing. I would love to see like Tamia, Deborah Cox, all of the girls of the older era, like
Well,
Heather Headley and all of them.
well, a lot of them girls kind of lost the mark when they started trying to write their own music and
I
stuff. So they
can't
kind of lost it there.
really explain it.
However, I'm stuck on Escape. Like I would love to see Escape
So
and
what do
not
you guys think about them now that they are on TV and seeing how things are going with this tour? It's a hot bit stuff.
I don't know. It just makes me so tired to even think about like this stuff that they have going on. Latasha is the one. Maybe not as far as talent goes, I don't know, but namely as far as when people think of Escape and think of singing, they always think of Latasha and Tamika. Tamika is a close, very, very, very close second. Like they're right there. They always, as far as singers, it was always Latasha and Tamika. I think I saw a video or something about Candy was saying that she sung on just as many songs as
Oh, Lord. You
Tasha, and
know.
I was like, well, yeah, I mean that may be true, but I don't think we're saying the same thing, Candy. Like nobody's doubting that you sung on the records. We're saying that you can't sing. That's what we're saying.
Candy is not a girl that I would want to see singing lead. I'll say that. And I don't understand why they were fighting for the lead position. I have to agree on that. I don't understand why.
I
But
don't get it.
at the same time, it would have never been a conversation either. I would have threw my hands up and said, "Candy, if you want to sing the lead, sing the lead, sing the lead."
I want to say that because I'm just not uh I'm not going to go back and forth with you. So in that spirit, I want to say that. But if my career is on the line and they want this song right and sung a
That's
certain type of way,
understandable.
let me tell you something. We could slap, scratch, pull each other hair all you want to when we get up
Hmm.
out the studio. But are we in the studio trying to get this check? Be honest with it. You are
Yeah.
not
And
that girl when it comes to singing. I'm sorry. You just not.
I mean, looking at it as a whole, I mean, all of those things are true. Candy shouldn't be the lead, and that's just that. But I think that they got to figure out what their problem is, move forward, and then I do want to see Tasha come with a better attitude.
Do y'all really feel like Latasha stole that girl's money?
Absolutely.
I feel like if she didn't, she know where it went. If she didn't personally steal it, she knows where it's at. Because ain't nobody running around here claiming talking about no $30,000 and then you talking about you had to pay taxes on it too. No ma'am.
Right.
And I feel like their mama was in on it too.
It's really, really interesting. I have cousins who are twins, fraternal twins, and not saying that the Scott sisters are twins, but just to the point of them being sisters. It would be so easy for them to impersonate each other. I'm talking
Hmm.
about like going to the
Hmm.
bank, whatever they want. It would be so easy for them to impersonate each other. And they're fraternal twins. They don't look alike, but they know so much about each other because their lives are so interwoven. So I do think it is, if their relationship is anything like, typical sisters, I think it's very possible that Latasha may have known enough about Tamika to be able to intercept those checks and to, find a way to cash them.
I don't believe that girl would get on national TV and blast her sister as a thief if she didn't know that. She didn't have evidence and stuff to back it up.
She
And,
does have the evidence, and she did a interview with the whole escape group besides the sister here recently, and she said people keep making the topic of, well, how is she able to do that? There's no way she's able to do that. But when they broke down the way the banking system was right at 10 years ago when this happened, it was definitely possible for her sister to be able to switch that check over and get it sent to herself, the way that she did so easily. Whereas if you went and tried to do it today, it wouldn't happen.
and
So
another thing is like with all the money that you all have coming in, like where's your accountant? Like, where are the people who issued the check? Like that's the person that can, in
those are
all of
definitely
this.
those are the people that said, yeah, this is how we sent the check to this address. The address was changed. The address was changed from her New York address, which is where she was living when they signed up for it. They changed the address to an Atlanta address that was also the mom's home address, is where the check got sent to. So it didn't really throw off an alarm because this is also one of her alternative addresses. And the sister was living with the mama at the time. So the checks went to the mama house and the sister was living there. So she was able to get the checks and sign her sister's name and get the checks cashed.
Yes.
Trifling is what that is. But with that being said, we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. What's up, millennials, and everyone else who may be listening? On behalf of my co hosts and I, we really want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. We really hope you're enjoying it. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to your podcast and check us out on social media at As Told by Millennials on all platforms. We really, really want to hear from you guys, so reach out and interact with us, okay? Now let's get back to the show. So, since we've been in this realm of music and speaking about different artists and stuff like that. And we are kind of talking from the viewpoint of millennials who are like 30 something years old. So we're 90s babies. And we've already talked about Escape and SWV. And I just got this idea when we were doing like top three concerts and stuff like that. So just uh, from the 90s, give me your top three female artists of the 90s. No girl groups or anything like that. Just top three female artists from the 90s. Your
Can I
top
go
three.
first?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. My top three: Shantae Moore, Deborah Cox, and Aaliyah.
Okay. Shantae's got a man at home. That performance that Shantae Moore did on the Soul Train Awards when she was singing
Mm-hmm.
All Right and she went up into that whistle register. Woo! David.
Um, I'm gonna, of course, have to go with Brandy for my top artist from the '90s, female artist. Number two would be Aaliyah. Looks like we agree on something, Denzel. And number three, I don't even necessarily know if this one falls in with the '90s, but I'm gonna say Whitney Houston.
Mine would be Lauren Hill, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, forgot
good
about her.
job. Okay, so let's talk about Aaliyah for a second. Um, what do we think it was about Aaliyah? I personally don't feel like it was her vocals. She was flat 90% of the time. But I think that Aaliyah gave us something new and fresh.
I feel like she was just really, really relatable. She
Hmm.
was, she was young, it's like we were in the 90s.
Hmm.
And she was maybe not so much in her music all the time. There were some songs that did it, but definitely in the way she carried herself, the way she dressed, she was kind of a nice little bridge between the R&B and the hip hop world, more so
Hmm.
than Mary J. Blige. Because Mary J. Blige is we know Mary J. Blige, but Mary J. Blige is not really our generation. But Aaliyah was our
Hmm.
generation.
For me,
Agreed.
I feel like Aaliyah was one of the few original breakout artists, and as in breakout artists, I mean she wasn't a cookie cutter artist. She didn't come, like she wasn't in the little skirts and had the hair all did up, and she didn't look like nothing. She came out, she was herself. There weren't too many artists out other than like Missy Elliott that was doing the tomboy thing, especially in R&B. And I feel like she opened the door for a lot of artists coming behind her to be themselves, whether it's weird to others and normal to them. She didn't give a damn. She came, she gave you some vocals, she gave you a good dance, she'll give you a wardrobe. Yeah. Mary coming around. She got the little bun in the back of her head. She gonna scream. Then, we wanted something different. and
a bun in the back of the head with a
with the
gold swoop
waterfall
in the front.
crinkles.
With a gold swoop in the
Don't don't do Auntie Mary.
But
front.
hey, but that was married though, and
But Mary did what she kept what it was supposed to be happening.
yeah.
Every girl that I know growing up wanted their hair flat ironed or silk pressed to look like Aaliyah's.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all wanted that straight hair like Aaliyah.
Aaliyah was kind of like TLC in one person. She gave you like a little left eye, a little bit chilly with the dancing, and what's the other girl? T-Boz.
T-Boz could not sing.
And did
I
she
mean,
ever try to sing?
She was the lead singer.
Oh,
Naughty
she
mother
sung.
gave the night of a
oh, I
wind,
feel so sorry
feeling
for these
that
new
of sun
kids.
that she just can't touch.
I feel so sorry for these new kids because they'll never understand the feeling of getting up, getting ready for school, and like music videos playing on the TV. They will
Mm-hmm.
never know about BET, Cedar's World,
Coming home to
Uncut.
watch Rap City or 106 in Park.
Staying up late at night to watch Uncut.
Midnight Love,
Mm-hmm.
going to sleep listening to that. Oh, baby.
Watching Kitty Cat. Watching Kitty Cat Ranch on HBO.
Child, watching
Man,
them, watching them colonizer grind up against each other because they wasn't doing nothing.
wasn't doing nothing but making a bunch
Remember,
of
making
records.
friction. Making friction. That's
Mhm.
it. Talking about the 90s and stuff like that, like what are y'all grateful for about being a millennial, a 30 something year old millennial?
For having a balance of strength and or balancing my strength and emotions. I feel like growing up in that era because like the era before us were more like hard workers, and then like the era behind us, those kids are kind of like really emotional because it's a lot of trauma that from the older eras that were pushed down on them, and they were like, look, everybody else can sweep this shit under the rug. We're not. We're gonna talk about it. So I feel like with our generation, we got to experience both of them, and I feel like we were the last generation with common sense.
David, what about you?
Um, I agree to a certain extent on some of that. I'm really, really thankful for just like the media, like the cartoons, and the way the media was very selective about what was broadcasted or shared back in the 90s. I feel like kids are exposed to way too much these days. Um, I also look back at how easy it was to have fun back in the 90s. Like, you could leave your doors unlocked and people wasn't trying to bust in your house. You could let your kids roam the city all day long and not worry about too much of anything. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like we were such a chill generation, very laid back, not too quick to speak. We thought about things before we did it, and now the generations that we have coming up behind us are very quick tempered and wanting to make a lot of unnecessary changes to progress that has been made. And then to a certain extent, maybe they are helping to bridge some of the gaps in communication that we have between generations as well. So, we'll see.
I like that. I really like what both of you all said. I think for me, I like the pace at which we were allowed to grow up in the
Yeah.
90s. Like, I feel like this generation, Gen Zers, I think, um, they have to grow up so fast and they have to become aware of things a lot more quickly than I think they are ready for. I don't think they're mature enough to have to deal with a lot of things that they have to deal with, but they have to deal with them because that's the life that the generations before them have made. Those are the circumstances that they have left the world in. So I really like the the pace in the 90s that we were allowed to grow up with. I liked how those of us who have chosen to do so are very fluent in, the tech world, and but we're also very fluent in, working with our hands and being practical and having common sense, and you know that gives us a little bit more leverage than I think it does, the generation before us and the generation behind us, because a lot of Gen Zers are not as practical as we are. They don't think about solutions outside of, technology or social media or, some sort of device. And then the generation before us doesn't think about solutions that include those things. But I feel like
Mhm.
with us being in the middle, we kind of have the best of both worlds there. So that's probably what I'm most grateful for.
So, piggybacking off of what David said back in the day in the 90s, about the cartoons and stuff and how they were able to monitor what is being shown to kids. Today in age, they have TikTok and they see everything. How do you guys feel about that? About search engines and stuff and social media such as like TikTok and all that stuff with kids.
David, you want to go? Or you want me to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
I think that, like previously stated, kids are being exposed to so much more than what they need to be. At that age, social media was non-existent for us. We didn't get exposed to it, and neither were we able to access it before, of course, college age. I think MySpace was the only thing you could really get on, and you could just post a status. That was it. And then when it came down to Facebook, you had to be a college student, which means you had built a certain level of independence without social media. And um, we knew so much more about ourselves. We didn't act a certain way because of what we saw people on social media doing. It was more so of acting off of the little innocent TV shows that we watched, or, how Disney Channel just kind of controlled what kids saw. And so I feel like now the kids only know what they see on social media. Everything they do, everything they wear, everything they say is based off of who they saw on social media and how much money so and so is making on social media. And they don't understand what it takes to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like there's so much in between that's not being taught when it comes down to the media now and the media from when we were growing up. Because we were taught what you see on TV is not real. That was always drilled into our heads. Our parents always said that. But now when kids see stuff on social media and on TV, they want to be like that. That's real to them. And they feel like that their life is not centered around getting an education to go to school and be somebody. It's more so centered around, oh, I can be rich, or I can be this celebrity and do this and do that and not have to chase an education or a career or anything like that. So that's kind of my take on it,
What
Milton.
about you, Milton?
Um, I feel similarly to both of you. I do feel that we as a society sometimes gives social media way too much power and way too much um, responsibility, because oftentimes we allow impressionable minds, free reign to do whatever they want to do on social media, and we don't offer any clarity, and we don't offer, further understanding as to what, impressionable minds see on social media. So they're often left to come up with, their best understanding of what they see. And I think because of that, social media has this immense reach into the lives of young people. I think a lot of it comes from, parenting styles. Like, uh, and we've heard this years and years and years and years, and in many different Tyler Perry movies and plays and stuff. You have to validate your children at home. You have to set a
Mm,
foundation for your children at
mm.
home. You cannot depend on social media. You cannot depend on the media. You cannot depend on conversations that they may or may not have at school. You cannot depend on what they're exposed to in the world to be their only sense of direction. And if they are exposed to these things on social media and in the world, then you need to offer a clear understanding of what this means and how and why it is presented that way. So um, they'll have the best information going forward. There is nothing, whether it be, you know, what children experience on social media, whether it be you at a job, whether it be you in a friendship or a relationship or whatever, there is nothing like an understanding. There's
Yeah.
nothing like an understanding between things or amongst things and amongst people. So I feel like sometimes parents can do a little bit more. I've gotten on my family members about that, and I tread very lightly when I go into parenthood because I'm not a parent. But I do try to make them aware of the things that they can do, whether it be parental controls, whether it be monitoring. There's different software now where you can monitor activity. You can monitor the activity that your children are doing on their phones and stuff like that. Does your child need a phone? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a question. My cousin now, she has a young child, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. And I know now in society, that's the age that, you kind of start introducing cell phones if they don't already have one. But if your child is with you all the time or with a family member all the time, they are never with anybody who is not a family member that you trust, whether it be your mother, their father, or you. Why do they necessarily need a cell phone?
Mhm.
They're always with somebody that you are able to get in contact with to check on them, to check on their well being and stuff like that. Why do they need a cell phone? When they get up in age and they start, going on field trips or, partaking in extracurricular activities after school where there's a little bit more independence needed for these activities, then yeah, get them a cell phone so they can reach out to you in case something happens, or if they're unsure about something, or they just need to contact you for whatever reason, yeah, get them a cell phone. But
What age do
I,
you think that is?
I think it really just depends on the child. I
Mm.
think. I think it depends on the child. In
You
the
know your
situation that I'm
child.
talking about, yeah, I don't
Hmm.
think that child particularly needed a cell phone. At at 9 and 10 years old, I was always either playing a sport, I was either in
Hmm.
band, I was either going to some sort of summer enrichment camp, I was in some kind of science camp or something like that. So there were
So
many
it made sense.
instances that I was away from my mother and away from our family unit. So yeah, if
Hmm.
something happened, I needed a way to reach out to my
Yeah.
mother. Thank God,
Hmm.
at that time we didn't really have all these school shootings and terrorist attacks and stuff like that we had to worry about. But at that time, it may have been responsible to get me a cell phone and stuff
And
like that.
even
And even
then,
then, even when I did get a cell phone, that cell phone was from when I was not at home. When I was at
Call
home,
and
that
text
cell phone went
only.
right. That cell phone went right to my mama because she was like, "What do you need a cell phone
Hmm.
for? Who are you talking to? If somebody wants to talk to you, they can call a house
Hmm.
phone." Like
Yeah.
it's
there were
not
certain
even that.
parameters. Yeah, there were certain parameters set up to make sure that I was safe and to make sure that
Hmm.
I experienced things in a way that didn't, mature me a little faster than I was ready for. I experienced things when
That
I
makes
was
sense.
ready for, when I was mature enough to handle them.
Looking back, hearing you say that, they definitely had stuff set in place to where if it didn't make sense, it wasn't going to happen. There was no need for you to be in your room at 10, 11, 12 on the phone. And I think that, you could call the house phone because, of course, you had minutes back then. So, of course,
Yeah.
if you wanted to have long, drawn out conversations with folks, you're going to have to call this house phone. So, at least somebody can pick up the phone and monitor what you're doing or what you're saying. Or if you're talking to, a grown man or a grown woman that you're not supposed to be. So,
It seems like this episode has run a little long, so
Oh yeah, it
um,
is.
is we've talked about a lot, and the conversation has really flowed. So I'm glad about that. But Before we go, is there anything that you guys would like to add? Something, going on in your lives that you want people to support, or a positive note to leave off on? Anything?
I will say that I would like to challenge everybody to find their peace this week. I know there's something that we talked about, and we kind of talked about how we found our peace, but I want to challenge our listeners to find a way to find peace this week, because it's going to come with its problems of its own. So let's be prepared. Let's be prepared to fight back.
Well, with me, I would like for our listeners, especially the ones that are able to vote, to actually start paying attention to who we have in the House. Research your candidates, research who you have in office, and you have a voice.
All right, activist Denzel. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode, you guys. Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe, and be on the lookout on all social media platforms. We'll be posting updates about the podcast there. So we hope to see you guys again soon. Peace.
Bye.